views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Shaping Life, where we discuss all things health and we connect with the right people and information to set us on a path to being our best selves. And I'm your host, Trish Curling. I can't believe I got that down. I said it. Okay, good. Today my very special guest is Andrew Tactix James. Welcome, Andrew. Can't wait to talk to Andrew today. He's got so much to share with us. I'm going to read you a little bit about Andrew first. Andrew takes a minimalistic approach to his training methods. He's a level 1 fascial stretch therapist and holistic lifestyle coach. Utilizing the tools he's learned over the years, he spent partaking in different disciplines, from breakdancing to capoeira, parkour, calisthenics, and animal flow. He continues to explore and develop his movement and holistic practice with the intention of sharing what he's learned with his clients to help them look, feel, and move better. So we're going to talk about all of that today. So Andrew, again, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So again, I just want to point this out before I forget, and I like to put everybody out on blast. Andrew brought me a lovely gift today. This is how you do it, people, okay? Wine and a card.
And it's to be shared with everyone in the studio. Just
I'm not sharing. I am not sharing, okay? Simone, in the now, previous guest, previous show, she wants me to share. No way, Simone. Sorry, no chance. All right. So, Andrew, one of the things that was immediately apparent to me when I started seeing some of the work that you do was your passion for everything that you do.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
you know, wait till you see, guys, the videos that we're going to share with you today. What are your earliest memories of making that connection and feeling that passion for movement or dance or whatever it is that you connected with?
Oh, wow. Well, my first, I guess, introduction to movement was probably through dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, my dad used to listen to Michael Jackson heavily, and so that was like my first introduction, and like just learning how to moonwalk and everything. And then I got shipped off to camp, like stay awake, or what was it called? It's like
an overnight
camp kind of thing, right? And one of our camp counselors was a breakdancer.
Oh, okay.
And like he was doing, like, I remember him doing these windmills and all that stuff. And I was like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
And then from there, I just kind of like was absorbed into the dance culture, and I just wanted to kind of learn as much as I could. And yeah, it just from there, it kind of transcended into just movement as a whole, and just learning how to kind of manipulate my body and do these like amazing feats and stuff.
Nice,
so,
amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us where Tactix came from.
So Tactix was, it was my dancer name, or my b-boy name at the time, and it came just from like I was in a dance group, and I was one of the leaders, and I was always responsible for like the choreography and planning all like the intricate moves and like all the battle stuff and everything. And so they're just like, yeah, you should be like Tactix or whatever. So they were trying to take like a strategic like military direction with it, I guess, and then it kind of just stuck, and I was like, yo, I love that name. So
yeah, definitely.
And then I started doing like YouTube videos, and like at that time I was just putting out dance videos. So like I just used the same alias, Tactix 87, And then from there, it kind of transcended into like comedy videos, and like, but at that time, I'd already established like a following on YouTube as Tactix, so I just kept the name, and then it just kind of stuck, and then now all my friends call me Tactix. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell us about your journey a little bit more with, moving from, so breakdancing and capoeira. How did you get into all of that?
So capoeira, I actually got into it when I started playing this game called Tekken 3.
Okay,
and
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it was like an old PlayStation game.
Okay.
And there was a character on it by the name of Eddie Gordo, and his style was capoeira. And this was like when I was already exposed to breakdancing, and like capoeira, if you've seen it, is very, very reminiscent of breakdancing in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
It looks very similar. And so I was like, I need to learn this. I need to know what this is. And then from there, I stumbled upon this movie called Only the Strong, which is it's a relatively well-known capoeira movie.
Okay.
And after that, me and my cousin, we started taking classes downtown with Ashe Capoeira.
Okay.
But they go by another name, Bamba, I believe it is. But yeah, we were training with them for a little bit, and then I got really busy with work, and so I only kept up with it for about a year and a half, and then just kind of practiced on my own. And, and then, yeah, that was it, pretty much.
Very cool, very cool. And so did that then lead you into calisthenics, or was that something that you were already a part of? And
yeah, so I actually went to school for film, broadcasting film, and so I was in the industry working as a technical director for a while, and then I was like bouncing from job to job because like within the industry it's very fickle,
right?
And so you don't have a lot of security there. So I was laid off, and then was put on EI, and during EI I was kind of just trying to figure out what I was going to do, and so in that time I just focused heavily on like training and calisthenics and just working on like skills and like
nice.
Yeah, so I was just doing a lot of body weight training, and then after that it kind of started to kind of evolve into more movement, more of a movement-based practice, and I fell in love with like everything regarding movement and trying to combine all the skills that I had learned over the years into just my own unique way of training.
Right, very cool. And so how would you say that those disciplines have added value to your life?
Well, they allow me to kind of I can pull from different each one of those modalities and share a different view on training, right? Like each one of those training methods have their own application in terms of how they're utilized, and I think they each have their own benefits in regards to building a better body, building a more mobile and resilient body, and so I often like to pull from different disciplines to share with my clients and helping them achieve their goals.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about that because you have the FST as well, fascial stretch therapy, and that combination of things, how it's always more than one modality that you need to be able to move optimally.
Absolutely,
so I can't wait to talk about that. You also write a lot, so tell us about the writing, how that writing complements your life, your physical practice, all of that.
Well, to be honest, I'm a very sensitive dude.
That's good.
It's not something that I like. If you'd asked me years ago, it's not something that I would openly admit.
Right.
But over the years, I found that being able to express myself has really been. I used to view that as like a weakness, but I found that by expressing myself, it's actually shown a lot of great strength.
I love it.
Because I'm able to relate to a lot of people, and now I do it unapologetically. And writing really helps me kind of tap into my emotions, because sometimes I have a hard time kind of figuring out what's going on with me, and so I'd rather, we all live this congested mind, right? Where like we fall victim to our own like internal dialogue.
Definitely.
And a lot of the times, if we don't have an outlet to express that, it can be catastrophic in a lot of ways. So I'd rather, have those things on paper than up in here.
Right. Ah, beautiful. I love that. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about your animal flow, which is incredible, okay, and how you've gotten to the point and reached to the point of moving the way that you do. So we're just going to close the segment with this amazing video of you moving here, animal flow.
Walking out the door, 'cause there'll be no sunlight if I lose you, baby. There'll be no clear skies if I lose you, baby. Just like the clouds, my
host, Erica Lita, and this is What Matters on TCN Network. What I do every week is I cover what matters to our audience.
All right, welcome back to Shaping Life. We're sitting here with fascial stretch therapist and animal flow instructor Andrew Tactix James. So let's talk about animal flow. Let's get into that. Like, tell everybody what it is.
So animal flow is a ground-based movement practice that kind of takes different elements from different disciplines and kind of blends them all together into this unique system. So a lot of the times it's often referred to as like dynamic yoga. And I like to kind of, as a joke, I usually refer to it as like if breakdancing, yoga, and gymnastics had like an orgy one time, and then they'd randomly just give birth to animal flow, basically. So that's kind of how I mean, sorry for the visual, everyone that's watching, but that's kind of how I usually describe it.
It's all good.
Yeah. So.
I love it. I love it. That's a beautiful marriage, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So.
And so, how were you first introduced to it?
That's a good question. I was kind of looking for different things to kind of explore, and like as I'm sure every guy out there, you know, you get really caught up in the egocentric kind of way of like living in terms of like health and fitness, and at the gym, you know, I was all about just lifting weights. Didn't care about stretching or like working on like mobility or anything like that. And this was right around the time when I was still in the film world, and we were working on like a web series called Boost, and basically it was like an action web series.
Yes, so we're gonna get into that.
Okay. So basically, yeah. So long story short, we like because it was a superhero web series, I had to look the part. So I ended up putting on like 15 pounds of muscle by just like lifting, right?
Wow.
And prior to putting on the weight, we had worked on like the final fight scene for the series, and you know, I was all mobile, I was agile because I was still coming off of breakdancing and stuff, and then put on the weight, and then come shoot day, where the cameras are rolling, we're doing our blocking for the shot, and I'm super stiff. Like it looked atrocious.
No.
Like I was like just throwing punches like this. I'm like so
can't lift
slow.
my arm.
Yeah, it was like weird. It was like, man. So then I had to kind of figure. I'm like, okay, I need to start focusing more on the mobility stuff. So I gave up the weights and tried yoga. Really liked yoga in terms of like the holistic benefits that it provided.
Right.
But I felt like I needed something a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more that fit to the stuff that I was already doing.
Right.
And so upon searching, I stumbled upon this thing called animal flow.
Okay.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then because like what sold me was like the breakdancing and gymnastics combination.
No doubt.
And from there I was like, okay, I got to get into this. And so yeah, I got fully immersed in it and have been doing it for about 6 years now, 5-6 years.
Wow. Okay. And so you decided to get certified. So what kind of made you say that? Like, how did you come to that decision?
Well, I was actually waiting to just take a class, and like at the time when I got into it, like nobody was doing it, so it was like I was just like looking up videos on like what it was, and like I was just getting exposure vicariously through the videos that I was stumbling upon. And then eventually I found out that it was being offered as a certification course in Toronto, and I jumped right on it. I was like
it's here.
Yeah, I was just like, here's my credit card, take all my money, I want to do it. And it was super intense. Like it was nothing like what I expected, in a good way. Like I thought, like, you know, I have this in the bag, I'm a breakdancer. You know,
Exactly.
You go in there and it's like a different language. It's like, you know, right leg side kick through, and I'm like, what is that? And so it's like all these, like this different terminology, and it's like it really is a system that is like you really have to kind of get immersed in and really explore and adopt into your own practice, right? And I fell in love with it.
Ah, amazing. So we're gonna have a look at you flowing again here, but I want you to talk to us about you know, your process. Like, are you moving intuitively usually, or you know, is it sometimes that you are maybe taking a particular focus and you're saying, okay, I really want to work on. I mean, I don't know the terminology, so are you picking something specific that you're working on sometimes? Tell us what you usually do.
It's a mixed bag, to be honest. Like sometimes, so animal flow, like I said, is it's its own unique system, and there's a set of rules and parameters that you have to follow within the system, right? And when I'm teaching it, I very much stay within the confines of the system.
Okay.
But when I'm exploring, like sometimes I go out of pocket. I go out of the comfort zone, and like I like to explore different elements because I have a background in a lot of different things, like capoeira, gymnastics, calisthenics, breakdancing. So I like to blend a lot of those things into my movement practice, right?
Okay.
Because I don't like to stay locked and confined to just one
Right,
thing. I
right.
want to be able to express myself openly and honestly. Like that's not that move right there is not from
Okay.
animal flow, right?
It's not, okay.
It felt good at the time, so I did it.
Yeah, right, right.
So you're right. A lot of the times
And
it
it
is
was
very
pretty.
intuitive. Yeah, I try to make it pretty. It's not always that way, but I always put just the highlights, never the bullshit that I come up with sometimes, right? But that's the beauty of it. I like to explore and just kind of play around on the floor. Like the floor is my lover, I guess.
Yeah,
to put it lightly.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I like to just express myself and be free.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful. So you also teach classes and workshops
do,
in the
yeah.
city.
Yeah.
So your classes, I can again, just you can see like people are just like into it, man. They're ready. I want to really look at this video as well because you talk about the basics and the importance of the basics. So we're gonna show that in a second.
Cool.
Because I know that sometimes things can appear, a little intimidating.
Right.
Sometimes when people want to, come to it. So,
Yeah, because a lot of the times, like when they see me do my thing, like when I'm just freestyling
Yeah.
and flowing, yeah, you're right. A lot of people will get intimidated. They're like, I could never do that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I had years of
Yes,
experience
5,
to build
6
up to
years,
that, right?
exactly.
Like if you saw me like when I was first getting into this stuff, I looked nothing like that, right? But it was because I was passionate about it and I was
Right.
determined to learn and get better. And that should be your approach with everything that you do, right?
Right.
I mean, I think when you're trying to explore a new modality or a new like dance or anything of that nature, right? You have to have a certain level of passion and also patience, and passion plus patience equals
Right.
progress.
Right,
So
right.
that's the only reason why I look the way that I do. now,
absolutely,
right? So,
absolutely. So I think maybe we can pull that up and we can hear you talking a little bit about the basics. Let's see if we have that video.
I think in terms of the whole thing about the ego, and like we touched on this. I think it was 2 weeks ago, in regards to one, embracing the suck and like just enjoying the journey, like enjoying the learning process and drilling the basics. Something as simple as stepping on the gas. A lot of people overlook that. It's very subtle, but I notice that people always do it, where they keep their foot planted as they're making the transition, and it breaks the flow because then they start to readjust because it wasn't as smooth as when you step on the gas. I have so much more, movement available to me versus going like this and allowing my heel to kind of trail on the floor. So it's like minor details like that.
So again, very important point about, you were really expressing, just the fine elements, the little things that can make a difference in the way that you're going to move, and, that's so important. So shameless plug, you're going to be teaching a workshop at my studio coming up. So if you're in Richmond Hill or you want to take the GO, there's a GO station right by our location. You're going to be teaching a workshop at my studio March 8th. So we're really excited about that.
So am I.
Can't wait.
So excited.
Can you give us a little hint about what to expect and who's welcome? Because like I said, we talked about people thinking that, oh my God, I can't do that. But
Yeah, all bodies are welcome. I
Right.
love seeing all walks of life come in and try something new and really explore and get really into the system. And again, I step a little outside of the animal flow confines. I teach the basics, but then I show you a little bit of what's possible once you kind of step outside the box or step outside your comfort zone. So
okay.
we do a lot of like movement games, just to kind of because I'm a big believer in play and just movement before exercise. Right?
Nice.
Because a lot of people
Yeah.
get it reversed and they focus too heavily on exercise rather than just movement and the aspect of play and exploring.
Right. And just
So,
having fun with it. Yeah.
having fun. Right?
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And so, what are some things you're hoping to see in the animal flow world? Like, what are you hoping to see in terms of growth or?
It's already on its way in terms of growth. Like now they offer online like not online tutorials, but they offer like online, like Mike Fitch, who's the creator of Animal Flow, is now offering this online program where people can sign up as for a subscription and like get like Animal Flow on demand.
Oh wow!
Right?
Okay.
So it's really growing from where it was when I first took it, and just to continue to see it expand and then just having people explore their creativity, right? Like I always encourage people who take my classes, right, that, you know, if you have a background in dance of any kind, like whether it's salsa, whether it's house, break dance, whatever it is, really try to see how you can blend Animal Flow in there, you know what I mean? Like kind of merge the two, right? So because that's kind of how Animal Flow was birthed. It was birthed by taking different pieces from different modalities and combining it into this unique system, kind of like Bruce Lee's philosophy, where it was like take what's useful, discard what's not, and then make what's uniquely your own, right?
Love it.
And so I think that people should kind of continue that like philosophy and stack on top of that and see it build and grow, right? So,
love it. So when we come back, we're going to talk about what supports your ability to move the way that you do, because we talked about not just practicing and doing Animal Flow, but there's some other things that other components that you practice in your life as well. So we're going to talk about that. See you soon on Shaping Life.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Because you're talking about how, you're not as flexible as people think that you are. So tell us about some of the things that you're doing here.
So with this video, like a lot of people, when they see me move and do like Animal Flow and stuff like that, they think, oh man, he's so flexible, he's so agile and everything. And that's not the case. Like I have super tight like hamstrings, and like I have to constantly work on them. Like my external rotation in my hip is like almost non-existent. So it's something that I try to work on religiously, just because I realize the importance of flexibility and mobility, especially when it comes to like movement and the stuff that I do, because mobility means more ability, essentially, right? So it's like the better I am at that, the better I can be in terms of my movement, right? And that kind of carries over into everything that you do, whether it's like strength training or dancing or anything of that nature, right? You always want to work on your mobility, especially as you age. Right,
right. Because you mentioned that your priorities have shifted a little bit too, I guess. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, just because like when I was younger, I literally didn't have to worry about stretching at all. Like 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 couple jumping jacks and I'm good to go. Like that was it, right? But now it's like, now that I'm older, it's like I feel it if I don't stretch, and like, if I'm not careful, I could tear my ass out, right? So it's like I don't want that problem, right? So it's like, so I definitely work on it now, and like I work at a health clinic called the Health Institute on Morningside and Kingston Road, and like we see a lot of young athletes that come into our clinic, and it boggles my mind how stiff these guys are. And I don't mean to call out any of them right now, but I mean
names. What are the names?
Right? But it's just like I'm just like, you shouldn't be this stiff. Like you
don't need to be.
Yeah, you're 12 years old. What's going on here? But then I realized it's like it's a different time now, because back when we were younger, like our only option was go watch TV or go play outside.
Right.
We were climbing trees, we were playing manhunt, all this kind of stuff, right? So we were always active, right? Whereas now kids of days are like, they're playing video games. They have so much access to excess, and like they're not utilizing their bodies the way that it was intended to be.
Right.
And so they're developing all these like imbalances in their body, and they're being stiff and restricted.
Right.
And so that's becoming a big problem. So that in itself has really helped me make that shift towards focusing more on mobility, not just for myself, but for my clients.
Love it, love it. And so you mentioned you work at the clinic, so you're, and I mentioned earlier as well that you're a fascial stretch therapist. So can you tell us about that? We found a nice description of fascia on your website that we'll pull up as you talk about it as well.
Yeah, so it's basically like connective tissue that is like saran wrap that covers your entire body, and it really loves hydration, and it loves like variety in terms of movement, right? But a lot of times what happens is like when we do like a lot of conventional training, like lifting weights and stuff like that, and that same repetitive motion really restricts our like basically dehydrates our fascia and creates a lot of restriction in our bodies.
I'm glad. Sorry, can I interrupt you for a second? Because I'm glad you talked about that point, because even for myself, I'll selfishly get a little insight from you here. Because when I started training with kettlebells, which I love absolutely, but oh my gosh, the mobility in my shoulders now is like, you know, it's gone away. It's just kind of, like, you know, not what it used to be 2 years ago. So I'm trying to make a decision now. Oh, like keep doing this or that. So I'm glad you kind of made that distinction that being wary of similar movement all the time and not giving the ability for your fascia to be hydrated.
100%. And that's another thing that that really I really fixate in terms of like the animal flow, because the animal flow allows you, because you're moving in multiple planes of motion, so there's that variability there, right? So I like to, like, so if you are going to do kettlebell training or like weightlifting or whatever like that, just make sure that you're supplementing it with like movements like that, right? You don't have to go out and get a certification like I did or whatever, but you know, just learn some of the basic principles of animal flow and get a lot of movement under your belt, right? Because for example, like the shoulder is such a complex joint and can move in a variety of different ways, but we never actually, how often do we ever utilize overhead position or anything like that, right? So, you know, it's always this same pattern, and over time, your body, this becomes your default. Or if you're sitting for a long period of time, hip flexors get super tight, and that becomes your default. But we don't move in just this position, right? We move in a variety of different positions. So when you impose a new demand on your body that your tissues aren't prepared for, that's when injuries happen. That's when like mobility restrictions happen and all that kind of stuff.
So tell us about what's happening. I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but if we don't have healthy fascia, so what's happening in our daily lives?
You're basically you develop poor posture, you become tight in certain areas, restrictions, you develop certain pains and ailments in the body, and that can over time lead to a lot of other different injuries and things of that nature if we're not taking care of our fascia. Like and first and foremost, not drinking enough water. That's a big thing. Like I always carry this with me everywhere I go, you know, and it's a smaller variant. I used to have a bigger one, but I just keep refilling it. But like I love my water, and I drink as much as I can. That's one of the things that I try to kind of like be religious about in terms of that, just because of all the movement that I'm getting. I want to make sure that my fascia stays hydrated, because when it gets brittle, it's kind of like when a sponge gets dry, like, you know, a dry sponge and it's really brittle versus when you wet the sponge and it's more malleable. Fascia acts in the same way.
So definitely something to explore. So if you're watching, then, you know, something to explore. If you're experiencing those symptoms or you're feeling that kind of tightness or that feeling locked up, I would imagine that's 100%. You know, something that you can explore in terms of a treatment. So tell us what a treatment consists of. Like, what is that usually like?
So it's very gentle stretching. We utilize a lot of breathing techniques within fascial stretch therapy, because breathing. So there's a quote by a gentleman by the name of Greg Cook, who says that if you can't breathe in a position, then you can't survive in that position, right? And so breathing is very essential in terms of everything that we do, but like primarily for fascia, we want to make sure that we're breathing, because what that does is it down-regulates your nervous system and brings your body to a calm, you know, parasympathetic state where you're just nice and relaxed. and it helps you kind of enjoy the treatment a little bit better. Because if you're tense like this and I'm stretching you beyond your point of comfort, you're never going to allow me to get to new ranges of motion, right? So we want to always make sure that the client or the patient is really relaxed and just calm and everything. And, you know, nowadays we live in this very high-strung, stressful environment, and people are always coming to us with, like, you know, like tense shoulders and like carrying all this stress from work and like being stuck in traffic or, you know, kids, relationships, all that kind of stuff, right? And so we want to make sure that breathing and like getting them into a calm, rested state is the first priority.
Love it. Love it. That sounds amazing. And yes, I'll be booking shortly. So, I mean, we're talking, you know, obviously you're passionate about health in general, but men's health in particular, which I saw this great video that we're going to watch a bit of right now. So we're going to see this. So if there are any kids in the room, you may want to step out for a little bit. But I love it because it's very lighthearted, but it gets the point across, and it's such a serious topic, but you do it in such a great way. So let's have a look at this.
So last summer, some friends and I ran this obstacle course race called the X-Men. After the race, we're all feeling hella manly. So I decided to go to my girlfriend's place and give her some of this victory penis, you know what I'm saying? Only my girl wasn't home. So I decided to do the next best manliest thing, and I lit some candles and ran myself a bath with bubbles and essential oils in it. Yeah. So while in the bath, I thought to myself, you know, it's been a while since I've evaluated my situation down there. You know, maybe it's time I familiarize myself with myself. I kept it strictly professional. So I'm feeling around down there and I noticed something very unusual. A lump. I'm trying my best not to freak out and rationalizing what it could be. I mean, maybe it's just an ingrown hair or a pimple. No, it's a lump. So I hop out of the shower. I'm assed out on the phone trying to make an appointment with my doctor. And the receptionist tells me that my doctor is not available until after June 15th. What the fuck? It's the beginning of May. I may not have till June 15th. You just lost yourself a patient. I'm taking my balls elsewhere. So I book an appointment at a different walk-in clinic, and it's standard procedure, introduction, followed by him asking me to take my pants off. So he starts examining my situation, and he seems very casual about everything. Okay, due to the location of the lump, it's most likely just a cyst, and probably nothing to worry about. Now, that doesn't really give me peace of mind, considering he's using words like most likely and probably. Those are the exact words I use when people invite me to places that I really don't want to go to. Oh, your party this weekend? Yeah, I'll most likely be there, but probably not. So he schedules me for an MRI, which unfortunately I had to wait a week to get. So for the entire 7 days, I was pretty much sitting at home like this. So I finally do the MRI, and the specialist says that it'll take about 2 days to get the results. So the weekend rolls around and I still haven't heard from my doctor, so in my delusional mind I'm thinking, shit, I didn't get the call. The lump on my ball ain't nothing at all. Oh. However, my dumbass failed to realize that the specialist meant 2 business days. My MRI was on a Thursday, so sure enough, I get a call Monday morning.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
I'm your host, Erica Lita, and this is What Matters on TCN Network. What I do every week is I cover what matters to our audience.
So I hope you were watching the last segment because that video is hilarious. And if you want to see the rest of the video, because it's another couple minutes, then you can check out Andrew's YouTube channel, Tactix Vision. So, anyways, you're clearly a talented actor.
Thank you.
But tell us why it was so important to you to get that particular message out.
Just because I find that it's a very uncomfortable topic to talk about and address, and I, for one, like for me, like just making that call and going to see my doctor took some time, right? Just because you go into the doctor and you gotta get naked, and then he's just
down there.
He's just down there. And you're just kind of like, this is weird. I've never been naked in front of a dude before. Like, you know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Right,
but like, it's a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of guys, right? And they have a hard time admitting that. And in fact, there was a campaign. Oh man, I'm forgetting what the campaign was. Feeling nuts.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was inspired by it was the gentleman that created it. They were inspired by a story of this mother who lost her son because he was diagnosed, or he had
testicular cancer.
Cancer, but he was afraid to go get it checked out by his doctor, and he eventually passed. Unfortunately, but so I mean, it's things like that. Like that could have been a problem that would have been like alleviated if he just,
absolutely.
And a lot of guys are very bashful in terms of going in and getting checked out, right? So I thought that was an important thing to kind of reflect upon.
Well, and I thought it was a great way to get it out because, I mean, it's accessible. You can have a laugh, even though it is a serious topic. But, it's encouraging. It's encouraging,
Thank you.
So, I mean, you also have some of your own rituals for your own personal health that you've incorporated. And I know you have some nighttime sleep aids that you've started to incorporate. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so my nighttime ritual, although admittedly I haven't really been implementing it in the last couple of days. But,
that's okay. We were always talking about the ups and downs,
the up and down roller coaster. Full transparency, but I mean, when I am consistent with it, rituals are very important to me, and I like to keep a sleep schedule. And one of the things that I've really started getting into is the CBD oil, by Resolve CBD.
Okay.
They recently sponsored me, and
nice.
I was at like a yoga convention, and I was just trying it out, and I don't smoke weed. I've never smoked weed or marijuana or anything like that. So I was a little apprehensive to kind of try it because I know that it's extracted by the same thing. But tried it out, and it had a really good effect in terms of like my sleep. I was getting like a full night's sleep, waking up, not feeling groggy at all or anything like that. And then I started doing like the lavender and the magnesium and things of that nature, just to kind of help with my sleep. Because sleep is another thing that's really important in terms of health, right? Because it helps aid in recovery along a long list of other things. Right.
Love it. So you also have an ebook available, and tell us about that, called Journey to Wellness.
Journey to Wellness. So this was I wrote this during a time when I was going through like bouts of depression.
Okay.
And it was kind of like just an ebook for me personally. Like I just wanted to make it with my own self in mind, because I used to have a life coach that used to say, shout out to Vesna, by the way. She used to say this thing to me called, she used to say, you can only take your clients as far as you've gone. And so I was battling with all these issues and stuff like that. And like sometimes I get this imposter syndrome where I feel like I'm giving advice to people, but I'm not taking the same advice.
Oh man, I hear you, Andrew. Absolutely.
So it was kind of like adding to all the stress and anxiety that I was going through, and so it was just like, okay, I need to first correct what's going on with me before I like really focus on like my health coaching business. Right. So I wrote this ebook as like kind of like just some 12 steps that I could personally follow for myself to help me kind of get over that hump of the depression that I was feeling.
Okay.
I like to refer back to it every now and then.
That's amazing. And I mean, I guess, and like you said, you talked about the writing as being that way to really just kind of release, what's going on in here. So, important point, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So I mean, I said in my post yesterday to mention that you were going to be on the show that you do so many things. So you also do stage performances as well, or have done some stage performances. So tell us a little bit about those opportunities.
So that one in particular was from a friend of mine, Alex. I actually met her in when I was doing my level 2 animal flow certification, and she's very much like myself. She's very much into spirituality, and we were just kind of drawn to each other and created this bond and became really great friends. And then she approached me a couple months ago, and she was like, "I'm putting on this performance," because she's big into the bodybuilding community and stuff, and so she does a lot of these like fitness shows. And so she was like, "I'm putting on this thing. Never been done before, Animal Flow as like the opening act for this bodybuilding competition."
Very cool.
And so she just got a bunch of her friends that she trusted, and she was like, "Let's make it happen." So I was like, "Hell yeah, of course!" Like, you don't even have to ask. So I booked everything off for that weekend, and I'm like, "Yo, I'm down." And she told me the concept, like, we're gonna be dressed up as zombies, and we're gonna be doing flow. And it's like, I get nervous during performances and like things that like I don't like unless there's like if there's no one else in the room, I can be comfortable in front of a camera.
Right.
But if like there's like thousands of people watching me, I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my CBD?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? But like I was just like so gung ho about it. I was just like, yeah, I love this, and I wanted to support her, and so we ended up doing it. And like we practiced for one weekend, and as a treat, she like got us like promo photos and stuff, and then we did the show, and people went nuts. They loved it. And
absolutely.
It was an amazing experience. Like I had so much fun, and it was like the build up. Only for it to be done within like 5 minutes.
Right,
so
exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, damn, that is over. I want to go back on stage, you know? But, you know, it was an amazing experience that I'll never forget. And I met so many great people while doing it. And so, you know, you can't buy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I just love how, you know, again, that focus for yourself in terms of maintaining your physical health, your strength, your movement, all of that just feeds into what the other areas of your life, right? And that's really what it's all about too, right? Just how it can contribute to the wellness in those other areas. Right. So that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
You know, and as we saw in the previous video, if you watched in the last segment, you know, Andrew's an amazing actor. So
that's right.
So you've done a few things, and you mentioned briefly in the first segment as well that you were part of a web series called Boost.
Yeah.
So is that still something that you're doing, or is that something that is completed?
No. So I kind of gave up on that once I made the transition into becoming a personal trainer.
Okay.
And but it was like a kind of like a passion project for me because I remember when I was working at another film production studio, I told my boss, I was like, I'm gonna create this web series. And the first thing he said to me was like, okay, two things are gonna happen. You're either going to give up halfway, or you're just not gonna end up doing it. And I was like,
really?
Yeah. And I was like,
if you're like me, you're like, really?
Yeah. Like part of me was like, oh shit, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, fuck him, man. I'm gonna do it, right? So
exactly.
So I was just like, and he wasn't wrong. It nearly killed me. Like, it was like one of the hardest projects I've ever worked on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I got all my friends and like shout out to my friends because they were really ride or die for this project.
Nice,
like they helped me out through so much, and I didn't pay them. So you know, really shows you who your friends are.
That's right.
And yeah, so like it was an amazing experience, and like I got to, you know, share it with all my friends. R.I.P. to one of our co-stars, Justin Warner, who passed away, unfortunately.
So sorry.
But yeah, he was a true rock star in
that. Incredible.
Yeah, he was actually one of the ones who was in the final fight scene.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you couldn't fight.
Yeah, I actually hit him in the face by accident because of my restrictions, right? Yeah, but he was a good sport about it. So yeah,
that's a special moment though. Yeah. Well, we are going to show a clip because I had to show off more of your talents here. So we're going to have a look here at Boost, the web series.
Ray!
What the?
Precautionary measure.
Is this really necessary?
Well, you did just try and kill 2 people, so yes, it's necessary.
And you are? Ah! The hell are you doing, man?
It's a counteragent for the serum in your system. It'll keep you sane.
Who are you?
My name is Victor Blaine. I'm a...
Wait, you're Victor Blaine?
You've heard of me?
You can say.
So again, incredible. Nice,
Thank you.
nice. Another aspect of who you are. So it was great to really kind of see all the things that you do, Andrew. And I said as well, just how much I can see that fuels or has fueled the other areas of your life. So I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for all that you shared today. I just want to pull up as well just a little bit more of your services, because people can find you online. Tell us a little bit briefly about your services that you offer.
Yeah, I provide personal training, online training. We're doing the workshops. As you guys know, we do the fascial stretch therapy as well. I'm pretty much all over. I drive quite a bit around the GTA, so I mean I can come to you if need be. But yeah, check out my website, flowtactix.com. That's flowtactix.com. And yeah, you can find out more about me.
Amazing. So yeah, so again, my absolute pleasure to have you here today. And we're going to do, you'll have to see my post later, so you'll have to go to my Instagram. I'm going to try to make a fool of myself here and do a little bit of animal flow with Andrew afterwards. But you can catch that after the show. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Shaping Life.